as you can see, we are going to be having a reprise of some of our wonderful music from yesterday as part of today's service. So I want to begin by thanking all of our singers and musicians for being here with us this morning. But of course, we are all singers on Sunday morning, whether you're here in person or joining us from home. And we're going to start off with a song, Sing Out Praises for the Journey. It's number 295 in the gray hymnal, or you can check out the words on the screen. Please rise in body and spirit.
Sing out praises for the journey, pilgrims we who carry on, searchers in the soul's deep yearnings, like a forebears in their time. We seek out the Spirit's wholeness in the endless human quest. Look inside your souls, the kindling of the hearth our pilgrims knew. Find the Spirit always restless, find it in each mind and heart. Touch and hold that ancient yearning, kindling for a new-found truth. Stand we now upon the threshold, facing futures yet unknown. Hearth behind us, wayside hostel, built by those who knew wild roads. Guard we ere their sacred embers, carried in our minds and hearts.
Welcome this morning to the Unitarian Society of Santa Barbara. Welcome whoever you are, wherever you are on your journey, whoever you have been, whoever you are becoming. Your whole self is welcome here this morning into this loving community of seekers, this place where we strive to learn to live with integrity, nurture wonder, and inspire the actions that transform us and transform the world. I'm the Reverend Julia Hamilton. My pronouns are she, her, and I am overwhelmed this morning by all that has taken place this weekend. It has been quite a journey over just the past 24 hours. We have done so much as a community here at the Unitarian Society, here in Santa Barbara, and here in this nation. So just take a moment and take it all in. We are here together this morning after a magnificent showing yesterday in the park for the No Kings rally. How many of you participated in that in one way or the other? Take a look around. At home, if you want to type into the chat and say hello, say your name, we would love to see your participation here this morning as well. How many of you were here last evening for our joyful Jubilee? Yes, a huge thank you to the many, many hands and hearts who made that possible. It was a wonderful evening, and we are going to be picking the glitter from our hair for days to come. We've still got some sparkles here in our sanctuary and sparkles in our eyes, and so much gratitude for everyone who helped us celebrate the vision of this congregation that's going to lead us forward. And if you took some particularly great photos, we would love to have them. There's a QR code out in the coffee hour. You can email them to our administrator. We would love to collect these memories from the evening as we move forward with our capital campaign. And one thing I want to share from yesterday evening that was shared out by Lorraine, our board president, is that we surpassed our goal of reaching the halfway mark in pledges at this point in the campaign. This is huge news. We have now pledged over $1.5 million toward the $2.6 million goal. And for those of you who are here new and learning what we're about, this is our goal of building a campus that is both resilient and sustainable in times of crisis, solar and battery backup, so that we can act as a resource for the community in times of need. It's a vision of making the campus more inclusive and welcoming, providing access and accessibility to all of our spaces, and a way for building community, creating sacred space where everyone can feel seen and valued and welcomed. This is the vision we need for this community and the vision we hold for the world in these times. And it is a beautiful, shining, joyful thing to celebrate it together. Next Sunday, we're going to be having an open mic night. So if you have a creative side, if you have poetry, I hear some applause out there in advance. If you sing, if you do anything that you would like to share of your creative spirit with this congregation, come to the open mic night. Ken, where are you? Ken Beiser. Ken Beiser is the person to talk to about that. We hope to see you there. I invite you now to take a breath, to settle yourself wherever you are. Feel yourself part of this larger whole, this shining community where each of us takes our place as we ring our bell and let the sound connect us.
Am I on? Oh, now I'm on. Okay. Good morning. Our chalice lighting words today are by Muso Soseki, a Zen Buddhist monk and teacher born in 1275. Sometimes, while wandering, when I cannot find which road leads back the way I came, the road goes anywhere, and anywhere at all is home. So I'm also here to share a good thing today. Every week, we look for something good in the world and share it out. Because it's important, especially now, I think, that we know about good things happening. So as Reverend Julia mentioned, my good thing today is the No Kings protests yesterday. And I saw a lot of hands go up. Show me again. Raise your hand if you were there, involved in some way. Wow. That is really, really a beautiful thing to see, all those hands. So I know they happened in 2,500 cities across our country, and it's on record as being the largest in the history of our nation. Yeah, right? Largest peaceful protest ever. And in other countries, in Canada, in UK, in Ireland, in the Netherlands, in Spain and France, and many others that I don't have here in front of me, they had protests too. And I find that really heartening that people all over the world were there doing that. So also the record right now is about 7 million people were out all across our country. And I don't know how many in other countries, but 7 million people. Like, let that sink in for a moment. That is incredible to me. And those people all out in the street exercising their First Amendment rights to free speech peacefully. There have been report of almost no arrests across the country in all of these protests. The NYPD specifically reported not one arrest across the 5 boroughs of New York City. And no violence recorded in any of these protests. So, yeah, that too, right? So I will share too that from all the video I saw from different places, the spirit of the recent protests in Portland, Oregon, where they really just embraced being silly and joyful and wearing inflatable animal costumes and singing and dancing and roller skating, that seems to have really spread. And so in those protests yesterday, I saw people really just embracing that. Did you see people yesterday at our wearing costumes and, oh, wonderful. I think it's important to bring that joy and silliness to challenge the horror and the cruelty that we're seeing happen in the world. I saw a sign that really touched me. It said, when cruelty becomes normal, compassion looks radical. And a good thing and a thing that I'm thankful for today is being part of this community at USSB where we embrace radical compassion. Thank you, that's my good thing.
We are going to take just a brief minute to get to know one another, to say hello to someone who is sitting next to you, to extend that word of welcome and greeting for just a moment before we gather together in song. So say hello to the person sitting next to you. I'm going to invite you to continue these conversations afterward in coffee hour. I love hearing the hum of connection that you are making with each other, but I'm going to ask us to rise in body and spirit. I think we've got the rising in spirit part down. But let's go ahead and sing together. If you're joining us at home, you can say hello, and please sing with us wherever you are. We are going to be singing For the Beauty of the Earth, which is actually number 21 in the gray hymnal. If you want to see the musical notes, it's printed as 12 in the order of service, but it's 21. So please join us in song.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies, source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of ear and eye, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight, source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light, source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild, source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
it is time for any of the kids who want to join me up here for a story. Excellent, Jasper's already on it. He is inviting everyone, but today, Jasper, I'm going to invite all of the kids and youth who want a better view to sit in this front pew here because my story is going to have a lot to do with the images that are shown on the screen here. So come on up if you want a closer look. You can sit here. You can also sit on the floor. That's fine, wherever you can see. We might need to make room in here for everybody. You can sit by Matthew. You can sit over there by Brent. All are welcome. And how many of you were here a few weeks ago when we did a blessing of the backpacks? Some of you were here, some of you weren't. So what we do at the beginning of each year is we invite people to bring their bags and their satchels, whatever they carry with them to school or to work, and we offer a blessing so that when you go out into the world, you carry with you the love and care of this congregation. Well, when we did the blessing of the backpacks, I was about to go on a trip, a big trip to Japan. I was going to go on a pilgrimage, which is a trip that's made for spiritual reasons, right? Not just a vacation, although it was fun at times. It was also hard and a time to think about what are the things that are important. And I asked the congregation to send me with your blessings, your prayers that I tucked into my backpack and I carried with me the whole time. I put them in this little pouch, and some of you made these little butterflies. Did anybody make a butterfly a couple weeks ago? Yeah. So these I carried with me all the way to Japan, and they've come all the way back, and I have some images that I want to share. This is the trail that I was walking on. It's called the Kumano Kodo, and it's a pilgrimage trail with really good signs, so you could probably not get lost on this trail, but there's miles and miles and miles of this trail. I wasn't walking by myself. There were 12 of us who were on this journey together. Most of us were Unitarian Universalist ministers. Some of us were other Unitarian Universalist adults, and there was one woman who was a Buddhist, who was a friend of the Unitarian Universalists on the journey. And so that's at the very beginning, when we're still well rested before our muscles got sore. Now, we walked in the sunshine, and we walked in the rain, and we walked uphill, and we walked downhill a lot. And we walked more uphill. And we crossed some bridges along the way because unlike Santa Barbara, where we were walking, there was lots and lots of water. It was very green and lush and saw all kinds of different plants and lots of mushrooms growing after the rain. We did not pick any of the mushrooms. We just appreciated them. We, however, did not have to walk by ourselves. We had a wonderful woman named Jennifer who was our guide, who helped us understand what we were seeing because the path that we were walking on had been walked by people for over 1,000 years. And people had built all kinds of shrines and statues along the way about why they were going on this journey for themselves. Now, on this path, there were emperors who walked it. There were aristocrats and fancy people, but there were also farmers and woodworkers, anyone who felt like they needed to take some time out in the woods to figure out what was important to them and to make some prayers about how they hoped their life would be. So this was the path that we walked, and Jennifer helped us understand it. We also went up a lot of stairs. Lots and lots of stairs because this is a very, very mountainous region, and a lot of the places we were going were up on the tops of some mountains. Now, where were we going? Where was all this walking pointing us towards? We were visiting some grand shrines. There are 3 grand shrines, like big temple, sacred buildings that are the end point of these walks. So here's some of the buildings that we walked to. And when we got to them, we would stop and wash our hands in a special way before approaching. And I'd been carrying these with me the whole time, wondering, when would I know what to do with them? What would be the right thing to do with these blessings that you all sent along with me on this journey? And when I got to the 3rd grand shrine, suddenly I knew what to do because I saw this. There is an 850-year-old tree at the Nachi Grand Shrine. It's a camphor tree, which is a sacred tree, and you can walk through this tree, up through the trunk, and come out the other side. And the idea is that when you do this, you carry your prayers with you, And the tree helps bring your prayers out into the world, right? And I thought, this is exactly what I had been waiting for with the prayers that you carried with me. Now, when you walk through the tree, you pick up a little stick, and on the back, you write your prayers or your wishes on the back of the stick. You carry it with you through the tree, and on the other side, you hang it on a little board where the priests then, every month, will collect all of these wooden prayers and burn them in a ceremony. So, I had a friend of mine make a little video of what happened to your prayers while I was there. And there they are, the prayers of this community, traveling far, far beyond over an ocean, miles and miles away, to be held by people around the world. Now, I was wondering, what do I do with the actual physical prayers? I learned that what happens to all of those wood plaques is every month, the priests gather them up and they burn them, and they do this on the 18th of every month, which was yesterday. So just yesterday, that prayer plaque that symbolized all your blessings was burned in a ceremony and released to the world. So today, after the service, I'm going to go down into our labyrinth with these prayers, and I'm going to burn them to release them into the world as well. And anybody who wants to join me down in the labyrinth after the service, after a few minutes after service ends, is welcome to do so. And that's what I wanted to share with you, because you all, every single one of you, was part of this journey with me, and I so appreciate being able to carry you every step of the way with me. So now you can head out to your classes. Thank you for being part of this trip with me. We hold you in our love. It just occurred to me that every Sunday we make these journeys together. We sing our children out to the journey of their religious exploration classes. We accompany each other on the journeys of our lives. We carry each other and each other's hopes and prayers, whether we write them down on pieces of paper and they journey to far lands or not. It is a gift that we give each other. There were 3 things that I carried in my pack every day: the prayers of the community, a little booklet that you get stamps on along the journey, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later, and this. This is a copy of a meditation, a Buddhist metta meditation, a variation of something we do together on Sundays quite often, where we work on extending compassion out into the world. And I carried this meditation. It's by Maylie Scott. It's a version by Maylie Scott. And I read it just about every morning before starting the journey. And sometimes I would share it with the other folks who were walking with me. Sometimes I would pull it out halfway along the way when I needed a breather and read a little bit of it before carrying on. And so I wanted to invite us all into this practice of compassion together this morning. So go ahead and settle yourself wherever you are. Allow yourself to be comfortable. Hold your hands perhaps open on your lap. You can soften your gaze or even close your eyes if you like. Feel your breath moving in and out of your body. This is what should be accomplished by the one who is wise. May I be well, loving, and peaceful. May all beings be well, loving, and peaceful. May I be at ease in my body, feeling the ground beneath my seat and feet, letting my back be long and straight, enjoying breath as it rises and falls and rises. May I know and be intimate with body, mind, whatever its feeling or mood, calm or agitated, tired or energetic, irritated or friendly. Breathing in and out, aware moment by moment of the risings and passings. May I be attentive and gentle towards my own discomfort and suffering. May I be attentive and grateful for my own joy and well-being. May I move toward others freely and with openness. May I receive others with sympathy and understanding. May I move toward the suffering of others with peaceful and attentive confidence. May I recall the Bodhisattva of compassion, her 1,000 hands, her instant readiness for action, each hand with an eye in it, the instinctive knowing what to do. May I continually cultivate the ground of peace for myself and others, and persist, mindful and dedicated to this work, independent of results. May I know that my peace and the world's peace are not separate, that our peace in the world is a result of our work for justice. May all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. Let us enter into a time of quiet. You're invited to stay seated right where you are as we sing together, Winds Be Still, number 83.
Winds be still, storm clouds pass and silence come. Peace, grace this time with harmony. Fly, bird of hope, and shine, light of love, and in calm let all find tranquility. Bird, fly high, lift our gaze toward distant view. Help us to sense life's mystery. Fly high and far and lead us each to see how we move through shine bright and true, so we may join our songs in new sounds that become full symphony.
When my friend and colleague, the Reverend Joseph Santos Lyons, put out a message this past January asking if anyone would be interested by any chance in joining him on the Kumano-Kodo pilgrimage trail in Japan, I immediately said yes, without knowing very much about what I had just said yes to and put a deposit down on. I did not know much about the journey I would be taking. I only knew that I trusted Joseph, who I had known since we were both high schoolers in National Unitarian Universalist youth conferences back in the day. And that when he issued that invitation back at the beginning of January, we had just the barest inkling of what the next 8 months or so would come to pass. But even back then, I knew that I needed something to look forward to, something that would nourish my spirit. And a pilgrimage sounded exactly like what I needed. So before I share with you some of the spiritual lessons that I carried back from the trip, I wanted to share with you a little bit about what the Kumano-Kodo is, because it is not a familiar phrase for most folks. And because Unitarian Universalism values religious pluralism, and we find wisdom in many paths, understanding the landscape of our human experience is part of our own spiritual journey, wherever we are. So this is a little bit about the particular landscape of the Kumano-Kodo. This is the map of the different pilgrimage routes that lead to those 3 grand shrines I referenced. And it is one of the 2 UNESCO-recognized World Heritage pilgrimage sites in the world, the other being the Camino de Santiago in Europe, which is far more well-known than this one. It is primarily related to the Shinto tradition, and although there are Buddhist elements as well, and it also pulls in local spiritual practices indigenous to the Kumano Mountains where you travel through. Shintoism is a nature-based animist tradition with deities called kami that inhabit all parts of the natural world. It is a very place-centered tradition. And the most recognizable symbol of Shinto for most people is the Torii Gate, which you see here. And we walked through the largest Torii Gate in the world, you can see there on the left, which was built in 2000, and it marks the original site of one of the grand shrines after it had to be moved after a flood in 1889. The Torii Gates signify the entrance to a shrine, marking the shift from the mundane world into sacred space. At the turn of the 20th century, Shinto also became the official state religion of Japan, and it was deeply connected to Japanese nationalism during that time, and it has been working to disentangle itself from that legacy ever since. And in Japan, Shintoism and Buddhism exist in a deeply intertwined relationship, and most people engage in both Shinto and Buddhist practices. Now, this can be kind of different for us in a Western Christian worldview where we think of religion as centered in belief. What do you believe? And then you follow the one path that aligns with what you believe. But in many places, religion is not what you believe, it's what you do. It's the festivals you observe, it's the altars you tend to, it's the way you pray and purify yourself and celebrate life's big transitions, birth and marriage and death. And Shinto and Buddhism are both religions of practice. So it's fully accepted that you don't have to choose between one or the other. You can be both. So you can see why maybe it resonates with this Unitarian Universalist heart. The pilgrimage trail is one of those practices often undertaken by people when life throws them into challenge and change, and there are both Buddhist and Shinto and other traditions all flowing together on this path. There are 5 main routes, and they all lead to the 3 grand shrines at the heart of the Kumano Mountains, the Hongu, the Shingu, and the Nachi shrines. Now, at the 3rd one, the Nachi shrine, there is also a Buddhist temple alongside, and you can see the brightly painted Shinto shrine next to the large wooden building that is the Buddhist temple. This is very unusual because there was a movement made at the end of the 1800s, the beginning of the 1900s, to separate Buddhist and Shinto traditions. And so having these 2 still existing side by side is unique. Now, along the way, there are also both Buddhist and Shinto elements. And in the 12th and 13th century, when the route was traveled by emperors and aristocrats, they established local shrines called oji, which served as these waypoints along the journey. A few of them are larger, like this one where we began our walk on one of the days. But a lot of them are smaller structures, just stones or statues along the path. We also encountered Buddhist statues called Jizo. These are guardian deities that offer blessings and protections to travelers, and they wear these bright red bibs which make them easy to spot in the green landscape, and you find them, large and small, all along the journey. At the Grand Shrine where we were walking to on the day where we passed these, that shrine has a particular emphasis on healing, and many of the Jizo along the way have particular healing specialties. So, for example, if you were worried about your back aching, you might offer one particular Jizo offerings, or if you wanted ease in childbirth, you'd stop at another one. One was for dentistry, and so on, right? They were very practical engagements with these guardian deities. And along the way, there are places where you could add a stamp to your pilgrimage booklet, which is the 3rd thing that I carried with me the whole time. You add all of these stamps, signifying that, yes, in fact, you have walked the trail, and it's all very official. At the end, you go to one of the sites where they stamp it and sign it, proving that you have, in fact, been a pilgrim. Now, the interesting thing I learned about the Kumano Kodo, which I did not know, is that it is in relationship with the Camino de Santiago. So on the other side of this booklet, which is still empty for me, you can take it with you to Spain and get stamps and become what they call a dual pilgrim. There were 4 people on this trip with me out of the 12 of us who became dual pilgrims, who had walked the other Camino, and they make quite a big deal out of it. So who knows, perhaps one of these days, several years down the road, after my next sabbatical maybe, I'll come back with the other side of that booklet. Now, the Kumano Kodo peaked in popularity around 1600, when sometimes it was called the Kumano Pilgrimage of the Ants because there were so many people walking along the trails and stopping overnight at the hostels. And in recent years, it's become much less traveled. There were times when you could walk for whole stretches and we would sort of spread out as a group and not see anyone for quite a while. But it's finding renewed interest. And I hope that this relationship between the Kumano Kodo and the rest of the world continues to grow and deepen, because it is a valuable thing to have these places in our world where one can step onto the trail and get a larger view. And I'm so appreciative of the time I was able to spend there. So that is an overview of the Kumano Kodo. I'm going to invite Justine Sutton forward to share about our outreach offering for this month.
Hello again. Hello again. Hello. So as you know, each month we offer a portion of our plate, our donations, to an organization in our community that's living our values. And the offertory partner for this month is the Immigrant Legal Defense Center. You probably are aware of them. They're a nonprofit organization who offer pro bono legal assistance to immigrants in our community, and they offer a lot of support, and we're very grateful for that. So please give as generously as you can. And please join me in saying our affirmation of gratitude and giving. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others.
I work to shape my foundation of stone, forging inner peace until it has grown. Upon it I will craft a dwelling with care, by welcoming friends to trust in and share.
I will help you frame this house to be sturdier set, laying bricks of love and hope in duet. We build it all on solid ground, amid the green where comfort is found. We can build our home by joining hands. We can build our home. We can build our home by joining hands. In community, we fill our house to help it gleam. Living words of wisdom to support our dream. Together we build a vibrant home, so it will stay with us wherever we go. We can build our home. We can build our home by joining hands. We can build our home. We can build our home by joining hands. We can build our home. We can build our home by joining hands. We can build our home. We can build our home by joining hands. We can build our home by joining hands. We can build our home. We can build our home by joining hands. We can build our home. We can build our home by joining hands. We can build our home. We can build
once again filled with gratitude for our musicians, our singers, for Matthew Grissett, our music director, for our guests playing with us this morning, some of whom we usually welcome on Christmas Eve. It's wonderful to have an occasion to be able to bring them back on a Sunday morning to join with us. Come back for Christmas Eve and you'll get to hear more of them. Thank you. I have only very recently become comfortable with the term pilgrim. And by recently, I mean over the past few weeks. Because I became, for the first time in my life, I think, a pilgrim myself. And the working definition of pilgrim that I'm using is a person who makes a strenuous journey to a holy place for religious and spiritual reasons. It took a while to dislodge it in my mind from the colonization story of the Americas, those buckle-shoed pilgrims of Plymouth Rock, and to make some space around it so that I could consider what it meant for me to be one, to undertake a pilgrimage. I wrestled with whether or not a pilgrimage had to be strenuous, but I kept that idea in there because otherwise maybe it's just a vacation. Whether physically or mentally or spiritually, I think a key element of pilgrimage is that it is not supposed to be easy all the time. It must require something of you, some kind of preparation, some kind of work along the journey, some kind of reintegration upon return, something beyond what you normally undertake in your day-to-day life. And it was less than 2 weeks ago that I returned, and the trip itself, while certainly strenuous at times, was not very long compared to some of the pilgrimages that people undertake. I was gone for 10 days, and we spent 6 days together as a group, 4 days of intense walking, with a bit of bus riding and one boat trip as well. So what kind of pilgrimage was this? It was not prompted by a challenging personal life event, but rather by this collective challenging life event that we are all living through in these times, this feeling that the values of love and compassion that we work so hard to cultivate, as Justine mentioned, that they're struggling against this rising tide of cruelty and violence. This collective challenge of the unraveling of the agreements we thought we held as a nation. This is a challenging life event for all of us, and so I was a pilgrim in search of a spiritual recentering, a renewal of faith that we could, in fact, make it through these hard times together. That is why it was so important for me to carry you with me on this trip. So it was interesting for me to learn when I got there that the Kamano Kodo is also known as a path of resurrection. There are large stone markers along the way that roughly translate as the forest of resurrection. You saw our guide standing next to one of them in one of the photos. And they're there to constantly remind the pilgrims of their purpose in case their mind had wandered or they got distracted or they were thinking about giving up. They were these reminders alongside the shrines and the deities that you passed or paid offerings to. These were these stones that said, hey, you're doing this for a reason. You're here to find some kind of renewal. And may you find it, whoever you are, and whatever brought you into this place. It is meant to be a journey of rebirth, both in the Buddhist sense of traveling through many lives on the path to enlightenment, but also in the more Shinto interpretation of being able to be purified and renewed in this life, in finding a path of peace in times of struggle. The emperors who made this journey over hundreds of years, many of the emperors would make this journey often when they were retiring from active duty as emperor and becoming retired emperors, right? They would undergo this pilgrimage, and they often did so in the name of peace, praying for the people as a whole. In an interview, Chief Abbot Takagi of Nachisan Seigentuji Temple, which is the Buddhist temple that you saw alongside the Shinto temple, he had this to say about what it means to go on this journey. whether it was an emperor hundreds of years ago or a pilgrim on the path today. He said this in an interview. Everyone feels suffering and pain, no matter what the era. The retired emperors of the past were no different from us today. He goes on to say, Kumano has acknowledged the resurrection of all people who visit, regardless of their faith, ethnicity, and gender for over 1,200 years. It is an iconic place where gods and Buddhas coexist even today. Looking at the world now, this is an age of ceaseless competition, but Kumano is a land of tolerance, where many different religions and people respect each other. I hope that lots of people will visit Kumano and feel that spirit of mutual respect and share world peace from Kumano. This is the intention of those who hold those sacred spaces for all who come. And one of the other things I learned that I didn't know when setting out is that the Kumano Koto pilgrimage is known for being particularly welcoming and accepting of all people, even women in places where they would not normally be allowed to go in other shrines or temples. The Kumano explicitly welcomes people into that journey together. I thought that I was going for myself, my own renewal, my own sense of spiritual grounding, but it turns out, once again, that I was not alone, but at every turn reminded of the interconnection with my traveling partners, with those who had come before us on the path, and with those who are setting their intentions of peace forward into the future. Even in the midst of the forest, you're never alone. This is one of the things that I carry with me from this trip. And those prayers that I carried with me, the ones that we're going to burn after the service, that carried through the heart of that 850-year-old sacred tree, what was written on those prayers so often was overwhelmingly about peace. The resurrection of peace in my heart, in yours, in the world. In the private struggles that we carry that come with being human and hurting, in the shared struggles of trying to be a better people. They were prayers for peace within and without. And so that became the prayer that I repeated each time I approached a shrine to make an offering, each time I washed my hands at the fountain before entering the sacred space, each time I paused to catch my breath on the journey. Peace within and peace without. But this prayer ended up not just being a thought that I carried in my mind or on slips of paper tucked into my pack, but I found that I was invited by the strenuousness of the climb and the fully embodied rituals I encountered at the shrine. I was invited to consider that this prayer for peace didn't just live in my heart or my mind, but actually lived in my whole body. And the way my body moved through time and space over the course of the days as we walked deepened this prayer. There's a very specific way you go about praying at a Shinto shrine, and it starts at the torii gate. Before you even get to the buildings, it starts at the torii gate where you bow before entering. And then at the fountain in front where you wash your hands in a very specific pattern, left and then right. And then you rinse out your mouth to prepare it for the prayers you want to make. And then you wash your hands again. And then the smaller shrines, they have one place to pray, but the grand shrines have many shrines within them, and you can choose which deity might be most appropriate to your particular need for a blessing, or you can approach them all. And so when you approach where the kami is seated, right, inside where you can't see, just a stone and a mirror, no anthropomorphic statues in the Shinto tradition, unlike in the Buddhist temples. You approach, and the first thing you do is you drop your offering in the box, and then you ring this big bell. There's a big rope that hangs down with this bell at the top, and you ring it to get the attention of the deity in the shrine. Now, when I say that, when I first heard this described, I imagined kind of this sonorous, beautiful sound like the bowl gong that we ring. No. These bells jangle like a set of big keys at the top of the rope. They are certainly attention-getting. And then you bow twice with your full body. They say 90-degree angle if you can make it. And then you clap twice to say, hey, I'm here. And only then do you silently say your prayers. You identify yourself, say the prayer, and you end with one more full bow. It is a very embodied process, praying at a Shinto shrine. And this ritual practice, attending to the physical relationship between yourself and the sacred sites that you are entering through the gate before you even begin the process of prayer, it's a very different way of approaching religion than many of us are used to. We are inheritors of a very heady faith, us Unitarian Universalists, right? With habits of the theological debates between our Protestant ancestors, even if we left behind their specific beliefs. And we tend to approach things like prayer and meditation as almost exclusively in the mind and the heart, right? We sit quietly, we hold still, we sift through our thoughts and our feelings. But on this pilgrimage, the connection between action and prayer, rather than just reflection and prayer, rose to the surface for me. And this mind, body, spirit connection, it was not just through the ritual practices at the shrines themselves, but also because often when we arrived there, we were sore and tired and very much aware of being embodied humans as we climbed step by step up those big staircases on the way to the top. The soreness in the muscles becomes a prayer. The awareness of your breath, not just moving easily in and out, but labored and pulling in oxygen after the steep climb, this becomes a prayer. The sweat pooling in the small of your back because it was warm and humid, this becomes a prayer. The water that you sip when you're along the way as an excuse to pause for a minute. This all becomes part of the practice. Peace within and peace without. Peace in these muscles on my legs that are tired, peace in this breath, peace in the bag of mandarin oranges that somebody pulls out of their pack and shares around, peace in that grip on the hiking pole that starts to make that little blister right here, peace in the abandonment of one of the hiking poles when it broke, peace in the awareness of limitation and in the awareness of ability. Very aware that I had the ability to make this pilgrimage, and accessibility was maybe not so much on the minds of the originators of many of these temples. They're working on it. You could see a few signs here and there, but for the most part, I was very aware of the privilege I held to be able to make this journey in the first place. And all of the grand shrines could be reached by bus or car if you so chose, but it is a different choice to approach them on foot through the mountains. It was a reminder that peace is made in the world not by what we believe, but by what we do. Peace is made in this world not by what we believe, but by what we do. And if I could carry one thing back with me from this trip and hold it going forward, it would be that sense of embodied presence, that wholeness, that reminder that that work of doing justice and building community must and necessarily coexist with the capacity for a grounded, compassionate self. Peace within and without. Peace here within and without. A whole self, undivided, rejecting once again that dualism that creeps into nearly everything if we are not careful. Rejecting that idea of self and other, us and them, male and female, heaven and hell, human versus the world, sacred versus the profane. My friends, it is all one thing. And sometimes in our day-to-day lives, we can get caught up in those divisions because they are pushed so hard onto us, caught up in the compartmentalizations, the estrangements, the separations. And when you find yourself going down that path, being pushed into that divided self, consider what it would mean for you to become a pilgrim, just for a short time, to engage in the work of making a journey to reconnect to that wholeness that is inherent in all of us, that is a gift of this world, if only we notice it and embrace it and let it call us towards that compassion and peace within and without. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. Let us sing together, Our World is One World. Please rise in body and spirit. It's number 134. Please stay right where you are. If you want to put your hands over your heart, or if you have permission from the person next to you, you can reach out and take their hand, or you can hold your hands open here or at home. Get connected to that sense of being a part of something larger than yourself, that oneness that abides within us, around us, through us, and in the world that we live in and share. And as you go out into this beautiful and heartbreaking world, may the light of love shine upon you, out from within you, be gracious unto you, and bring you peace. For this is the day we are given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And let us call out a blessing.
Good job, choir.